Alright.
I'm not.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Domino Paris 21 here with my special guest Joey from Team Organization Mars. Hey, what's up?
Hey guys, how you doing, Joey?
But we're here to actually introduce you guys to the first video of my new Cardfight Vanguard Meta Talk segment that I will be having on my channel. Basically, simply put, this segment will just involve me, or maybe along with some special guests, to provide our own personal analysis on the relevant decks of the current English format, which right now is Set 9. And basically, we rate them on 3 categories. And these 3 categories is what I feel defines a competitive deck in Vanguard. So the first category is going to be pressure. How well does the deck overall pressures your opponent? 2 is card advantage. How well does the deck produce card advantage for itself? And 3, consistency. Probably the most important aspect of any deck. So we're gonna rate them at out of 5 on our personal opinions and pretty much give our own input on these. So Joey here, he's been playing Aqua Force just as long as I have here, so definitely he has a lot of good information to share with you guys too. So, actually I spoiled it already, but yeah, for the first clan we're actually going to be analyzing for Meta Talk is Aqua Force. So, of course introducing Set 8 and bringing out probably some of the best bosses in the game as of this date. So yeah, moving on. So we're gonna actually be talking about the first category, which is pressure. How well does this deck pressure your opponent? So Joey, what is your first thoughts?
My first thought. This card is broken because you just do 4 attacks, and if you have a 10k booster behind it, which I can't seem to find right here, 4 attacks, blah blah blah, and then this hits for 26. Now 26 is a really good number in my opinion because it goes through 11Ks. Now 11Ks are pretty common today because you just have cross rides running rampant.
Still a good number.
Yeah. 26 is just a good number. You can't argue with that.
There's not really many decks that can really hit for this high number, but what's really good with Aqua Force is, of course, looking at the 2 bosses they have, starting off with Maelstrom, of course. Aqua Force has a lot of key abilities. That is an on-hit ability that really pressures your opponent to prevent it from hitting. Maelstrom swinging for 26 and threatening to kill a rear guard and gain a card for itself is nothing to joke about. And this pressure is really something that this deck is designed for. I mean, because of course you have your Maelstrom and then you have your finisher, which is the cross ride of Glory Maelstrom. This is just something that these are 2 cards that forces your opponent to kind of play around these cards and kind of play differently from the normal playstyle. So I think any card that can force your opponent to do so definitely deserves some recognition. And Aqua Force is all about a few on-hit abilities and just overall do not let this hit. That's basically the motto. You even have a Tier 9 Valeria, one of my personal favorites, which even makes your stand triggers into like little mini bombs, as I call them. So very, very dangerous units. Now, of course, that's the main bosses. Now, moving on to really the enablers of the deck. It's another way that Aqua Force does pressure because, of course, they are known to enable multiple attacks on their own to, of course, unlock the key skills. But really, with the right field, you can really force out a lot of cards from your opponent's hand. So that's really the goal. So now Basil, of course, he's more of an enabler, so he doesn't really hit consistently, so he doesn't count. But Diamantes hitting 11k. Against a lot of 11k Vanguards is good, and of course, Joey, you're a big fan of Benedict.
Big fan, yes. I run him only because there are 10Ks at some parts of our local. He's a great card when it comes to kicking out Basil and just say, no, you're not in my deck anymore. But, if you go against 11k Vanguard, which is very common in today's format, this card kind of loses some effectiveness because you have to attack with the booster. Normally, you would just attack it with, say, I don't know where you put that back there, but you would attack a 10k Vanguard, and then he would stand up, minus 5,000 to himself, and then attack again. So that's 2 free attacks, but if you're against a 11k Vanguard, say you're against Maelstrom, you can't do that. So you would have to attack with only 1 effective attack.
So yeah, but he can be in the right situation. So overall, I think like their bosses really make up for what the rear guards can sometimes lack of. So overall, out of 5, I rate on pressure 5 out of 5.
And I agree with Gabe because that this card and the 26 is just nuts.
That's amazing. Now moving on is card advantage, which I mean personally there's really not much to talk about with this deck with card advantage because I mean other than in terms of draw power, the only thing they have is they have a Luckbird clone. And Maelstrom can net you some cards if he hits, but Maelstrom, of course, is really meant to be that pressure card rather than a card you rely on for your draw power. Now, I say pressure and card advantage do work hand in hand, because obviously if you're pressuring your opponent more than they are to you, then you're essentially forcing more cards out of their hand compared to you, so you create advantage that way. But in terms of producing advantage for itself, the fact is that you do require an ideal, fully committed field throughout the whole game. You will be sacrificing a lot of your hands, so... I don't know. What are your second opinions on that?
For me, I agree with you that pressure goes with card advantage. Every turn, you'll make them drop at least 2 cards if they want to make you stop gaining cards. You kill a rear guard and draw a card. This basically nets you a plus, what, 2? 2. Plus 2 every turn if it hits. However, like Gabe said, if you are going to get cards with this Luckbird clone, it's not really effective.
Yeah, the deck's not really designed to do that, but really just for the fact is that you're really required to fully commit to a really ideal field. Your opponent will most likely be pressuring your field too, so you're not going to really be having a huge hand a lot of the times in most games. You know, sometimes I actually do end up having a lot of cards in my hand, but for the most part, if you're playing against good players,
that's a rare case.
Yeah, you're gonna definitely be sacrificing a lot of your hand. So out of 3, I'm gonna be rating Aqua Force a 3 out of 5 for card advantage. So Joey, what's your thought on that?
I would actually say 4 out of 5 just because of my playstyle and how Maelstrom works for me. Because every turn I will make them drop 2 cards, regardless of.
So you not only have a good hand advantage.
I have a good hand advantage, and my rear guards will bait out 5s, if not 10s of Aqu because of awkward hands. Okay. That's just why I rated it at a 4.
Yeah, can't argue with that. And then last but not least, we're going to talk about probably the most important category, which is consistency. Now, keep in mind that when we talk about consistency, we're not just talking about how consistent the deck is able to execute its winning strategy, but also how well it can uphold that strategy against the current meta. Now, I think Joey, for the most part with Set 9, the meta we're looking at is mainly the N, MLB,
the Blood,
OTTs, and Platna, I guess, and Aqua Force, of course. But yeah, that's mainly the main decks for meta. Now, of course, with Aqua Force, you know, what's their winning image? Let's actually sort this out for you.
Yeah, Diamante's here.
11K. Dorothea,
if I can find her. Should probably have this set up before.
Yeah, we're not prepared.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is kind of the ideal field. I mean, you have a Storm Rider column, preferably Diamantes. You have Maelstrom with the Dorothea, or even a Glory, but this is more for late game. And you have a full-fledged column here. Now, basically with Aqua Force, it's very important to keep up the tempo of this field to actually initiate the deck's full potential of what it's capable for its offense. Now, the problem the deck may have with consistency is, like I mentioned, with the end, with this guy here. The fact is that you will be sacrificing a lot of your hands a lot of the time. It can be very difficult trying to deal with the end, and you know the end is pressuring throughout the whole game. So it's very tough. But what's really tough with Aqua Force is, of course, with Kagero, they can blow up their field. Narukami, the Blood, can definitely threaten their field a lot without even much effort.
And it's not even just blowing the field, it's going up against that 13k body that screws you over.
Yeah, cross rides and 11ks can be a nice little poison to Aqua Force.
Because if you attack with Diamantes, he's sure 11k attacker, that's great, but if he's cross ride, then you're kind of screwed.
So a lot of times you would just be wasting your attacks mainly just to enable the skill, but you have a fully committed field that's not really producing much for you sometimes. So cross rides can be somewhat troublesome for Aqua Force, you know, if you don't have the right setup. And of course, you know, you have MLB, Kagero, and Narukami, which are control-based decks, because you know Blaster Blade is poison to Diamantes. But yeah, it's really tough sometimes to try and maintain that field if they keep blowing up your key, you know, resources. So,
Dorothea, your 11k.
So I think like in terms of executing the main skill of the deck, it's not hard to do that, but maintaining that is really troublesome. Also, for the fact is, like I said earlier, your opponent's always going to be going after those key rear guards they have, and you're going to be definitely forcing out a lot of cards from your hand to do it, and sometimes it's very difficult to do so. So
right, and just imagine going up against the Blood where he can just blow up your front row, and then that's that.
You could pretty much almost auto lose if they get this off twice, which happened to me before. But yeah, I think in terms of consistency, like I said, how it stacks on the meta, it does run well by itself, and it pretty much will just auto win when it's up against anything that doesn't control as much. But in terms of stacking compared to the meta, overall, I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5, or maybe a 3.5 out of 5. You know, I'll cheat and do halves, but that's kind of my thought. What about you, Joey?
I would, in my personal opinion, I would give it a 2 because there are so many cross rides everywhere. You know, it's rare to play against a cross ride, but when you do, the deck just loses everything.
You lose a lot of edge.
Yeah, you have to waste attacks and just, you know, pray that he doesn't have a perfect card against your Maelstrom.
So overall, Aqua Force, a really amazing solid deck and a really competitive deck. I mean, overall, I can even rate it a 4 out of 5. But in terms of certain categories, it will have some trouble against the main meta. But yeah, on that, guys, don't forget to leave a comment down below. Let us know what you think. Even provide us some personal ratings of what you feel based on your experiences if you play Aqua Force. And yeah, actually, and a big thank you to Joey and his representing his team, Organization Mars, to appear on the channel. And definitely, it's gonna be more to come, guys. So definitely, I might actually do Solus next week. I don't know if you recognize this box. But yeah, other than that, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to leave a thumbs up to this video and subscribe to the channels listed below. And yeah, other than that, guys, thank you guys again for watching. I said that so many times, and see you guys next time. Bye.